Former President Donald Trump, not surprisingly, praising the Delaware judge who picked apart that plea deal, that sweetheart deal for Hunter Biden last week, while also ripping Biden's crime family as, well, a bunch of mobsters. Listen.
I think it's terrible. There's never been a time like this in our country. They go around indicting me for nothing, for really political interference or election interference is what they're practicing at a level nobody's ever seen. And this is a crime family. That was like mobsters, the way they spoke on the phone, the way he spoke on the phone about his father sitting there. And he was sitting there. Does anyone have a doubt about that? No, this is a thing that this country has never seen before. And nothing happens to him.
And now, just moments ago, Joe Biden's de facto lawyer, Congressman Daniel Goldman, seems to be shaken, maybe a bit sweaty and a bit of a panic after hearing Devon Archer's testimony, trying to spin it as hard as he possibly can. Goldman admits that Joe did coordinate with Hunter's business associates, but he said he was just there to say hi. Just there to say hi. Watch this.
Doesn't that contradict the president's statement saying that he never talked to any of Hunter Biden's business associates? Clearly he talked, whether it's about the weather or whatever, but he said specifically that he's never talked to them. Doesn't this contradict him?
I don't know what his comment is, and if we're going to, well, I don't think that's what he said. He never said that he has never spoken to anyone. He said that he had nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business dealings. If he says hello to someone that he sees his son with, is he supposed to say, hi, son? Oh, no, I'm not going to say hello to the other people at the table or the other people on the phone.
You know, it's remarkable, isn't it? I mean, Hunter Biden's already pled guilty or attempted to plead guilty to committing crimes. Devon Archer's on his way to prison for 1 year plus 1 day for trying to defraud Native American members and reservations to the tune of $60 million. These are not good people. Here to discuss it is retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, former Congressman and current Executive Director of the ACRU, as well as a host of the Steadfast and Loyal podcast. He just wrapped up an episode. Did Alan West, who's joining me now. Alan, good to see you.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Steve.
I mean, look, Hunter Biden finally admits that he has a child. Joe Biden magically in the last couple of days starts admitting he has 7 grandchildren after 4.5 years. You've got Hunter Biden that attempted to plead guilty to tax evasion and gun charges. You got Devon Archer here, who's on his way to prison at some point, it looks like. And Dan Goldman sits out there and says these things with a straight face. Oh, they just talked about the weather, and he just was there to be introduced as a, please, none of this passes the stink test.
No, you're absolutely right, and it really is offensive and condescending that they think that the American people are going to fall for this. And what is so interesting about last week is that Hunter Biden is going to show up in a court hearing for 3 to 5 minutes. He's going to plead guilty to evading paying taxes and also this charge with lying on a 4473 background check. But it was contingent upon him getting this sweet deal. And then when all of a sudden he realized that everything is falling apart, now the thing that he was going to plead guilty to, now he's pleading that he's not guilty of. And, Steve, you and I try to do and pull some chicanery like that, we're really going to be going into the big house and wearing an orange jumpsuit. So this two-tier system of justice is what is appalling to the American people, and they're sick and tired of the lying. And if this were the Trump family or this was any other American family, we'd all be doing big time behind the bars.
Right, and let's just not parse words. Joe Biden said he never talked to Hunter Biden about any of his business deals. He wasn't involved in any way. And yet we know perfectly well from the testimony we were expecting to hear today, and it sounds like Dan Goldman's admitting that Joe Biden was on the phone. Now they're going to say that he was just talking about the weather and small things. Hunter Biden was using Joe Biden as the cudgel to break down the door, to strong-arm people to get money. Look, I can put my dad right on the phone. It doesn't matter what they talked about. Let me be clear about that. They could have talked about the weather. That's not the point. It's to show power. I can get this man on the phone right now anytime I want. Here's Joe Biden, Vice President of the United States. That's how it was being used, as leverage to coerce and take money from the Chinese, the Romanians, the Ukrainians, and the Russians, and probably more. I mean, that's it, isn't it?
No, you're absolutely right. And the fact that we have gone from him having negative knowledge, not having interaction with his son's business, to now that we know that he was on the phone, he was present, he was in the room, and you think about this mafia type of reference that President Trump used. It goes back to Don Corleone saying that I got an offer that I'm gonna make you can't refuse, and if you try to refuse it, I got my dad sitting here. This is like little kids saying, you mess with me, I'm going to go tell my big brother, I'm going to go tell my dad. And they're sitting there on the porch or the stoop watching everything that's going on. So he is part of this. He was involved in it. And the more that they lie, the deeper they dig themselves into a irrecoverable hole, I think.
Yeah, but you are seeing some of the major networks. We saw Catherine Herridge reporting for CBS News about the breakdown of the plea deal and everything that's going on today. This is getting out there now more and more into the mainstream media. And as it does, the polling numbers go down for Joe Biden. I think there's a political price to pay here. And again, I'm not convinced he's going to be on the November 24 ballot for the Democrats because this is damaging. This is problematic. I'll give you the last word.
No, it's incredibly damaging and problematic, and what you're going to see is the connection between the Biden crime family and what is happening in Ukraine, what is happening with Russia, what is happening with China especially, and that is going to come back to the fact that this is a compromised president, this is a compromised administration, this is a compromised White House, and we cannot trust them to be the commander-in-chief and be the president for another 4 years.
Yeah, there you go. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, always appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, coming up after the break, let's just say that Donald Trump not too impressed with the DOJ. He said that Mar-a-Lago security tapes were not deleted, and they were voluntarily handed over to Jack Smith. That guy. That story and much more after the break here on America's Voice Live.